Daddy gets lost. Daddy gets lost. Daddy gets lost. Munch.
Hello and welcome to Daddy Eats Last, where we discuss the challenges of being a man in modern society and whatever the hell that phrase even means. I'm Kane, and joining me live today, live from the car anyway, on his way back from Bright to chat mad stuff is Ryan. How are you, mate?
Yeah, pretty good, mate. Yourself?
Oh, not too bad. Now, firstly, tell the listeners out there, you've been in Bright all weekend, haven't you?
Yes, I have. Bright, Victoria, about 3.5 hours outside of Melbourne.
It is a lovely part of Victoria for anyone who's never been to Bright. I do highly recommend getting along there. I remember going there as a child and going down the river, and it was fantastic. But I'm tipping that's why you went there this weekend.
No, I mean, Bright is lovely, and I would highly recommend people get out there. But, no, I spent the weekend putting my body through a bit of pain over in the countryside there.
Now, what did you do out there, mate? You tell the listeners exactly what's it called and what does it entail, and what did you do?
Yeah, so I did the Spartan obstacle racing courses. So the Spartan obstacle races, I guess, it's very similar to Tough Mudder, but kind of, I guess, tougher version of Tough Mudder. So they're sort of obstacle races of different distances all over Australia. But what they do, or what this weekend was, is called the Bright Trifecta. So they've got different races that they call different things. So, for example, their entry race is a 7-kilometre sprint race, and then you can move up to the Super, which is a 14-kilometre race, and then a Beast, which is a half marathon. And all these races have plenty of obstacles and hills and many painful things through them. And then there is a ultra Beast race, which is like 50 kilometres. So a number of different races. I spent the week doing the 14, the 7 and the 21, which is considered the trifecta.
Wow.
All in the 3 days. 2 days. So 3 races over 2 days.
Yeah, so the closest I got to a trifecta might be on Melbourne Cup Day. That's amazing. So that's what, the equivalent of 42 Ks in, let's say, 48 hours or less.
Yeah, basically. So the 14K, and this is the thing, they say like 14 Ks, but it can really vary. So like last year when we did
it's a loose terminology around the distance. So I think it's probably an important thing to know how far it is, I guess. But there you go.
Yes, that's really, like last year when we did the 14K, everyone's fitness trackers were reading anywhere between, I think there was a 16 and somebody had up to like 20 Ks. So we don't really know how much, but yeah, apparently it was 14. So that took us about 4 hours, then the 7 about 2 hours. So it's definitely not just like a quick run, because it takes a lot longer than that. And then yeah, we did the half marathon today, which was about 6 and a bit hours of pain when you wake up quite sore from the other 2 the day beforehand.
Now, what sort of obstacles are we talking about?
All kinds. So there's a lot of like jumping over things, going under things. There's a massive mountain in Bright, which is why I think they do it there. So they pretty much get you to climb this mountain, and then they feel like they'll get you to climb it again, and you go around the other thing. But like there's obstacles, you got to pull sandbag carry up through hills. One of the ones was you had to carry a 50-kilo ball up until an end thing, and then do some burpees. You got to climb ropes. You got to jump over like fortresses. So a lot of different kind of obstacles, hanging bars, just most things to punish you. And if you happen to fail an obstacle, so for example you go across the monkey bars, which are not the same height either, so you usually have to reach up and down at various points. And then there's a bell at the end, so you tap the bell so you completed the obstacle. Or you might walk across a wall, and if you fall off before you hit the bell and reach the end, you get blessed with 30 burpees. So as a punishment for not achieving the obstacle, you do 30 burpees, which is kind of a bit cruel, because then you're a lot more fatigued for the next obstacle, so then you might fail that one and so forth. So, yeah.
Wow is all I have to say about that. That's insane. Carrying a 50-kilo ball, if you fail at that, you have to do 30 burpees. 30 burpees is just by itself crazy.
Yeah, so, I mean, over the
How many burpees did you do over the 42 Ks?
So I got done on 4 in total over the 42 Ks, which is probably six obstacles. So 4 of them I missed out on. One was a rope climb where I got close to the top and then fell, and that was just painful, and then have to do burpees after that. And then I missed one of my 3 spear throws. So you actually have to throw a spear and get it in, and if it doesn't go in, there's 30 burpees. One of the hanging bar ones, and then actually I got done on the rope twice. So two of the 3 races I got done on the rope. So that was the 4, and then so 4 30s is 120, which was fun.
Wow. So you've done this before, have you?
Yeah, so this was my 3rd year in a row of doing all 3 races, so the trifecta, I suppose. And I was supposed to do I was actually supposed to do the 50-kilometre one, as well as the 14 and the 7 the day before, and then the 50K one today, which I would not be driving home now. I would probably only just be finishing it after starting at 6:30. But I did break my foot 4 months ago, so we decided that we'd hold off on that one.
So is that part of the future plan then, is to do the Ultra Beast next year or at some point down the track?
Well, it's the only one that I haven't done so far, so I'm sure that just the ego will kick in and go, yeah, you probably need to do that at some point.
So I guess that kind of leads into the obvious question: is why put yourself through something like this? What reason is there for doing this, and what do you get out of it?
Yeah, it's a good question. I mean, the first one that I did was the 14K, and that was, when was that? 2014, I think I ran my first one, or 2016, and 2013. And sort of got a little bit addicted to it. So I ran it with the gym that I was at the time, and we were all training, and there was a group of 8 of us. And then we sort of built up, and by 2016 we were basically doing all 3. And when I say me, there's me and a friend, Sean, of mine, and we pretty much aim to get a trifecta every year. So we aim for the 3 races. So, I mean, it's a number of reasons as to why. I think, first of all, just trying to keep fit amongst a very busy work schedule and those sorts of things. And when I sort of stopped playing more regular, high-level sport because of travel with work and that kind of thing, this was a really good goal to just go, all right, well, it's pretty important to keep up gym and that kind of thing. The other thing is, me and my buddy don't get to catch up with each other probably as much as we want, and this is something that we sort of pencil in every year to do, and it's a good way to catch up and sort of keep testing each other. But I suppose another reason, especially the first year that we did it, it was all about, one, just finishing the thing, as opposed to trying to beat last year's times or anything like that. But it was also just doing something that I didn't actually think I could do. And that was, and even this year, having broken my foot 4 months ago, there was a bit of sort of, I don't know, overcoming demons might be a bit too dramatic, but I guess I'll go with that, is just that, I just find it insanely helpful mentally to have just gone and smashed my body for the better part of over a marathon over a weekend, to then go, all right, well, it definitely helps with tackling the various challenges of life. So those are sort of the 3 reasons that I suppose we do sign up and do stuff like that. And I mean, even the 14, the very first one that we did on Saturday morning, I've got a buddy over from Perth, and TK, my partner, I rope her in, and she comes up to Bright with me every weekend and that sort of thing as well. So by the end of it, she's very unhappy that I've roped her into it. But it's a nice thing to do with other people, I suppose, is another thing.
Yeah, well, I guess it's a sense of achievement, knocking over even just a 7K Spartan, a 7K run in itself or a 7K jog is impressive enough. Then to tie in some obstacles on top of that, potentially some burpees, and then to replicate that times 2 and then times 3 as well. Man, there'd be a sense of achievement just from completing the thing.
Yeah, there is. And I mean, they give you a pretty medal afterwards as well. So that's after each race. So that's kind of cool. and a nice t-shirt. But no, there definitely is. There's a real, what I find doing these as well is, out on the track, you end up meeting people that are seasoned and have done heaps, and that, you know, there's a whole ecosystem around this, I suppose, with elite races and all that sort of thing, and we're not at that level, but you end up just meeting people and this is their first time, or they've gotten a group of work people, or they've gotten a group of friends or something like that, and yeah, there's a real, like when you're out there, everyone's helping each other with the obstacles, and there's a real camaraderie to it. And when you do finish, and you sort of, I mean, I think it's like Saturday nights at Bright when you've done especially because you sort of get to know people that are doing all three races in the weekend, or who are stupid enough to do all three. And Saturday night you're sort of out at dinner, and Bright sort of filled with all these people. And I don't know, there's just a real sense of, like you said, achievement, but just respect, and it's a pretty cool feeling.
Yeah, I remember doing a few corporate triathlons back in the day, or just triathlons back in the day, and the positivity around the event of everyone just being really helpful and wanting you to succeed is kind of rare in a sort of sporting environment, because usually you're playing against another team who don't want you to, I guess, succeed. So that positivity that everyone wants everyone to do really well, I found fantastic just in that triathlon environment. I'd imagine it'd be much the same up at Bright over the weekend. How many people were up there?
Good question. I don't know exactly, so sort of don't quote me on this, but I think, it's a pretty popular thing. I think it drags about 5,000.
Oh, wow.
I think I might have heard that like last year or something like that. Like it's, and as you're driving into Bright, there's this whole sign, you know, the Spartans are coming, and the town is just absolutely, it's a beautiful place for it as well. So I love it for that. And like cafes will open up early for you, so you can get in before races and everything like that. But yeah, the whole place just sort of lights up. But there's definitely, it's a lot of people. A lot of people sort of do it. If I was smarter, I wouldn't be driving home 3.5 hours to Melbourne after running it. But unfortunately, I'm a little bit too busy with work to have a day off tomorrow. But yeah, in hindsight, I'm sure I'm going to be wishing for that.
So Bright is a lovely place, and it'd be amazing on a Saturday night. There's that many people in the town, but pretty much everyone would have been in bed pretty early doors, especially that buttering up this morning to tackle the 21 or 50k Spartan as well. So that's an amazing thing that many people can sort of pile in and be fairly quiet on the Saturday night as well.
Yeah, and you're even like you're out at dinner, and you can even see like, you know, everyone's sort of wearing their shirts and everything like that, and you can see the people that have done like their first race, or you know, and obviously great sense of achievement, especially the 14. It is actually quite a tough race, but they are, you know, they'll have a beer or two. I mean, they're not going crazy or anything, but then you also see the rest of us that's just like, no, we won't be having anything tonight, and we will be back up nice and early tomorrow morning to go again. So yeah, nobody really goes too crazy down there this weekend, but a lot of people sort of head down there and they'll make a long weekend out of it, or they sort of turn something around, which I think is fantastic, because knowing I guess my background, the physio side, knowing the physios and that down there, they love it. Like, it's such a good thing for Bright. It's such a good thing for that sort of country town. From a tourism point, and everyone raves about it. So, yeah, it's a really sort of special weekend that I've kind of gotten oddly used to looking forward to. And then I get sort of halfway into the first race and I go, no, I don't really look forward to this every year. So, yeah.
We got perfect weather this weekend. Is this the best weather you've had over the three years you've done it?
No, actually, this is terrible obstacle racing weather.
Really?
So, yeah, like, for those of us who, we basically had 26, 27, just sunny, just complete sun. Ideal obstacle racing weather is sort of high teens, low 20s with overcast. No rain, obviously, but and we did get that last year where it was just pristine. I mean, from a weather point of view, if we were just there on a weekend away, Bright would have been absolutely perfect weekend. But yeah, obstacle when you're out there for 6.5 hours and very little protection from the sun, it really eats away at you.
Oh, I did think of you today when I was sitting on the beach in the afternoon. So you were in my thoughts for thinking you were slogging it out up there. I didn't know you were doing burpees at the same time. So I would have
Oh,
thought
I
even.
appreciate that.
Now, how much training goes into something like this? When did, like, you broke your foot 4 months ago? Had you been training before that, or did you start after that? How long does it take to kind of get into sort of Spartan fitness mode?
Yeah, probably this year's training was not a blueprint to replicate for anyone thinking of doing it, because I was in the US and Canada for all of October, and it's mid-November, and I did virtually no training over there. But I guess before breaking my foot, we were targeting the 50k ultra race. So I was in pretty good condition before that, and this race, like these three, were pretty much a get it done and more that kind of thing. Last year, because me and Sean were talking about it on the course, last year we sort of broke our times exceptionally well. We did an hour and a half better than the year before on the 21k race, and we were pretty well conditioned for that. So I'd say probably about a good 4 months at least training leads up to it. A combination of running, weights, gym. Upper body definitely wasn't as strong this year as I would have liked it, which is where I did fall a bit short on a couple of those hanging ones, being the ropes and hang glides and all those sort of things. So yeah, your training, I mean, the website actually gives you, like, you can follow their training guides. We sort of build our own, but it's virtually a combination of different types of running, interval running, and then weights and upper, like a lot of body stuff, so a lot of chin-ups, a lot of burpees, a lot of things like that, I suppose. And there's gyms that can really tailor towards this stuff. I don't really go to them because they're not so much around where I live, but yeah, there's, I mean, heaps of them that can, and all you got to do is a quick Google search and you'll pretty much be gifted a 3 to 4 month training program that can definitely get anyone, I think, ready for probably the 14k race.
Obviously, an aspect of it is the physical fitness of being, you know, fit enough to get through most of this stuff. But I would imagine a large aspect as well is also the mental side of things, being mentally prepared to do X and Y, and then being able to push through maybe your comfort zone or what you thought you could do.
Yeah, big time. I think, like, especially because I didn't have a great run Saturday, and because I've gone into this year quite underdone. I was freaking out for today actually, but a lot of it was just mentally tackling the obstacles. Like you said, pushing it. I'd almost argue when you start to get to those really long races, because you're climbing hills and everyone's hating on life, and it probably is 80-20 mental. And the good thing is there's heaps of people there that do support you, and everyone's wanting you to do well, much like what you were saying about the triathlete stuff. So that's a big part. But yeah, going back to one of the reasons that I do it is that I think it actually just helps significantly personally with my mental health, but also just framing challenges. And there's heaps of people that were going there, and you ask them, you know, why are you doing the race, or it's their first half marathon one that we were running with today, and they're just like, because I don't think I can actually finish it. And they go, that's why I'm here, to really prove to myself that I can. So for those reasons, I mean, I think that's quite cool that a lot of people take that challenge on board.
Yeah, is it when you're doing it and you're facing something which is a bit difficult, is there something which you kind of go over in your head? Do you go back to a time when somebody told you couldn't do something? Do you visualise getting through the obstacle? Is there a certain go-to when you're really struggling that you can dip into that well and kind of focus on that, which will help you get through?
Yeah, so I mean, it's different now because I've done them. Though they do change the track and they try and make it harder every year, which is fun. But yeah, it's sort of different now that I've done a number of them. I can kind of go back to, you know, I know that I can do this. But especially early on when I first did my first one, at the time I was actually struggling with a couple of our business challenges, and having a few people say exactly that, like, I don't think you can get through this, I don't think you can do this. And I'll never forget, like, I remember being probably we're about 16 k's into the half marathon one, and I was just like, I'm so done. My body was ready to give up. And I was talking to Sean, because you do talk a lot while you're out on the track, in between hiking and walking breaks and running and that. And he's just like, you know, what's getting you through or whatever. And I was just literally like, I just know that I have to finish this race to get through the rest of this year, life-wise. So that was sort of a bit of a go-to. But one of the things that I do, which is probably a bit weird, is that I think if I actually think too much, or if I try and go to something, like if I see an obstacle and go, I'm gone, my arms are buggered, I'm not going to happen, I actually go to don't think, run. Because if I don't think about it, I've got a good chance of actually getting it done. If I start analysing it, and probably because I'm a bit of an analytical person, I actually will talk myself out of it. So there's almost, rather than going to a different thought, there's almost this thing of basically like, don't even think, just do. And then, you know, trying to apply that further on is, I think, a lot of things is if we just do, rather than think of all the things that can go wrong, most of the time it works out pretty okay. So that's sort of my go-to, is just do it. I mean, as much as that is Nike saying, but yeah.
Which makes sense. Again, another way you can tackle these sort of things is to clear the mind. It's the same with everyday stuff as well. Just there's different ways of approaching it. You can look back at something which has happened before and channel that. You can clear your mind through meditation or journaling, and you can tackle a problem that way. So yeah, everything you've spoken about being applicable to Spartan is equally applicable in everyday life as well. And yeah, I like that, the way they kind of tie together as well, that you can use things in Spartan and in life and vice versa.
Yeah, it's funny, and like, I mean, they even tell you at the start of racing and that, like, it's a certain type of person that does sign up and do a race like this, and it's a person that actually goes out and looks for problems and then looks to tackle them head on, and you will finish the race. Everyone will finish the race because you won't give up, but hey, you might find a problem, like I've found a problem going for this year, if we do want to do the ultra, is I definitely have to work on my upper body strength to survive that race. So, you know, they sort of mention that, you know, you go out and you find a problem and you might go back home and have something to work on. And they're obviously talking about it physically, but I think there's a real mental aspect that you can take from stuff like this. And I mean, it doesn't have to be something like this. It's even setting yourself up to go, I'm going to run my first 10K, or I'm going to do, you know, my first game of some sport or something like that. I think those sort of things go a long way. But even as you were saying, like, one of the things climbing this mountain, and it's when you've done it, you understand it, because it is a very, very tough mountain. But I mean, part of what we were trying to do today is we literally just try and get into a meditative rhythm of you're not even thinking, you just get into this meditative zone, you acknowledge that you are in a lot of pain, and you just get a rhythm of your feet, and you just figure, as long as one foot keeps going in front of the other and it doesn't stop, and I can hold this sort of just zone for as long as I can, I'll get a lot closer up the mountain than if I think too much about this. So that's probably another go-to that helps with these sorts of things.
Yeah, that makes a lot of sense, actually. Now, you touched on pain there. Just how much pain are you going to be in tomorrow, mate?
Oh, I'm all right now because I'm literally driving home. But so, for example, been swapping the driving, and probably about an hour 20, I was in the passenger seat and we swapped. And to get out of the car, I had to pull my two legs to the side of the seat after I'd opened the door. I had to swing forward not once but 3 times, and it's scary because this is stuff that we teach patients, or when I was working way back, when I was working in hospitals and that, this is like stuff that we would teach patients after surgery and injuries, or, you know, very, very old. But I had swung forward 3 times to push off with my hands to stand, and no joke, it was probably about 20 steps, because they were so small steps just to walk from one door of the car to the other side. So I will be in a world of pain tomorrow and get an insight into probably what my life will be like if I make it to 90.
Mate, will you make sure you get home and you have a really good sleep, and do all you can to kind of rehab? Being a physio, you know what that is already, so I won't keep you any longer, because that does wrap it up for this week. Thanks for listening, and we'll be back next week for another episode, or should I say serving, if Daddy eats last. Well, that's if Ryan can move. How's that for a dad joke? Catch you all next week.
Bye-bye. Bye-bye.